Good afternoon, everyone. I am going out to get the parts for my Skag finally. I got a call this morning and the parts are in. Well, one thing I am not sure of, I do not remember ordering exhaust gaskets. So, and of course I threw the old ones away. So if I don't have them, or if they don't have them there, I will have to find some someplace else, which I'm hoping they'll have exhaust gaskets in stock there. But I'm not holding my breath on that part. Also, while I'm there, I'm going to pick up a hydraulic filter for both mowers, because that's got to be serviced for this year too. The newer Skag, the 52-inch cut, was giving me some problems when it was really cold out. So it was almost acting like it was starving for oil. So what I think is going on there is some condensation in the oil. So when I change a filter, I'll be draining all that out, and I'll find out for sure if there's any oil or any water in the oil. And then on my way back home, I'm also going to start at the parts store where I buy my oil filters from, and pick up the oil filters and also pick up some oil, because I want to change the oil on both mowers, because it needs to be changed. But the one especially with the head gaskets off, and with me using or with the heads off, with me using brake clean and cleaning everything all up, I'm sure there was some brake clean that got down into the oil, and so I'll be changing the oil and make sure it's all nice and ready to go, and I don't have to worry about anything. So it's going to be quite a project on that mower yet, and since it's supposed to be nicer for the next few weeks, I might be able to get that project done and start on the next one, because I want to have both mowers completed, done, before it gets anywhere near spring. So that's going to give me a good 8 weeks anyhow, but I want to have it done way before that, because I also want to work on the trailer as soon as possible too, because that needs a lot of work. It needs a bunch of welding on it, and I'm going to change the bearings and brakes on that, as I'm not sure how bad they are, but I want to pull them all off. And I know one side is good and the other side is not so good. So I did a brake job on the one side last year, and I just never got around to doing the brakes on the other side. But when I put new tires on it, them wheels were spinning around pretty easy. So they were spinning easier than I would like with the grease and everything that was in there. So I think I'm going to take them all apart, re-clean them all up, and change the kind of grease I was using. So there's a lot of work that has to be done in a little short time, and hopefully I can get it all done. So well, I'm almost to the dealership right here right now, and I'll get back with you in a bit. Okay, today is my lucky day for parts that I needed, because the dealership had the exhaust gaskets I needed, but they did not have any hydraulic filters, and they will be in next week. So I'll have to go back out next week and get them filters so I can change the oil and everything in the hydraulics there. So, and then I went to the parts store and got my oil filters and some oil. So that's I'm all set on that part. I just got to get them filters. So heading home right now, and once I get home there, I'll go over the bills on how much all that stuff cost. Okay, back at home and in the shop. So this is what I got. 4 quarts of synthetic 10W30, because that's what I run in all the engines, and then 20W50 for the hydraulic oil. And the oils and 2 filters, which is the Wix Brands filters. Come to a total of $49.74. And then all of the gaskets came to $33.36. That's what the price of them parts are. It's not as bad as you would think it would be, but the hydraulic filters I think are around $25 a piece. I am not sure on that. I don't remember. I haven't bought any since last year, so when I get them I'll just figure out what they are. So I guess I'm gonna get started on putting this engine back together. Okay, now before I start putting the head and everything back on, and I still clean a few parts up here and there, but I want to change the oil right now before I put everything else on there, just because it's going to be out of the way and easier for me to change oil. Since there's no parts on the back here, the head's not in the way and everything, I could just get to everything easy. So that's what I'm just going to do. I'll take a 10mm wrench, loosen up that, you see that? Not really. Yeah, now you can see it. Take 10mm wrench and then just back that off. So now comes the messy part, is changing this filter. So what I do is I shove place a towel under there. It doesn't have to be clean. And I take a funnel and I kind of wedge it in here, try to catch as much oil as I possibly can. Different there when the brackets are on here, but since all my brackets are gone, this funnel sits different, but that should work. Okay, let's try that out. Yep, missing some. Not too bad. I said the funnel sits differently. Then with the new filter, it's a Wix filter. Gives you the Wix number there. I just put a little bit of oil around the seal. Make sure it doesn't cross thread, because it tried to cross thread. And that's as tight as I'm going to put it, and that should take care of it. One thing about these gloves, they grip everything really well, so you get a really good grip on that filter and you can tighten it up pretty good. Okay, while that's draining, I'm going to start putting the head gaskets on. But I wanted to show you before I get started. Don't know if this camera is going to pick it up or not. You can still see the lines in the cylinder from the hone that it was done at when they honed it into factory. So even though the engine's got 1,200 hours on it, the cylinders are still in fairly new shape, because the scratches in there from the hone are still there. So I am not concerned at all about this engine. It lasted a long time. It just one part failed. You know, the head gasket failed, and that's not the first time I've had a head gasket fail on any of my equipment, because pretty much sooner or later they all fail. This is the first time on this mower, because I've only had it for a little bit of time, but these things do fail quite often, actually. This is the head gasket that I'm using. You see that? Parts and everything right there, part numbers. And so I like using OEM parts, so that way I know what I have. Both sides of this gasket are different. One side of the gasket. The metal ring is wider than the other side, and the factory puts them on with the wide side facing the cylinder. So that's the way I'm going to do it, and it's been on every engine I've taken apart. Has always been that wide side faces the cylinder. So, and then this the head, there's pins that hold the gasket on there, and then we just set it up against there. And one thing I forgot to mention, I was going to mention, I was taught long time ago by an uncle of mine that was a master mechanic. What he always did and recommended, might have been old school, is put a little bit of oil on the threads of the head bolts. It helps them seat a little easier. And another thing I like to do is go around and snug these all up before I torque them down. Just put a little snug on them. And then these head bolts are torqued to 19 foot-pounds. So now it's time to put in the push rods. Oiled up both sides. I got oil on there. And there's a guide in here where that goes. And if you took a flashlight, you looked up inside, you'll see where the lifter is, where this sits in. Yeah, I missed it. Whoops. So since I can't find it, I guess I'm gonna have to look up in there. Sometimes I get it by feel, sometimes I can't. Yeah, flashlight. Okay, it is in the lifter. Then to adjust these, takes an Allen wrench, or it takes a 13mm wrench and an Allen wrench. But what I do, instead of loosening up the stud in there, I loosen up everything. So that way I can screw the whole thing out. And put it all together, and then I just snug this up with my fingers. So now what we have to do is make sure this is at top dead center on the compression stroke, and all I do is take the Allen wrench and put it in where the top of the cylinder where the spark plug is. And there's comes the piston up. Nope, that's not. So you notice if I turn the engine over one way or another, one of the valves is opening or closing, so that's not the compression stroke. Go around again, and there we are. So the specifications for valve clearance is between 3 and 5 thousandths. So I am just using. Gonna read that. And I'll if I can read it or not. I can't read that. Anyhow, it's 4 thousandths. So there should be a drag, and oh, that's not tight. There we go. It's about where it was, which is really, really loose. I'm not even sure what that is. So, because I should be able to put the feeler gauge between the rocker and the valve spring, and it should hang by itself, and it won't. So now comes the fun part. There, that's loosened up. And there it is. 4 thousandths. Sometimes it goes real easy, sometimes I fight with it a little bit, but still works out. Perfect. Now let's do the same thing on the other side. The nice part about the valve covers is it's got a, whoops, can't see nothing there. Got some bolts to hold it on place there. Looks like it goes this way. About 10 foot-pounds of torque. Going to the next one. Okay, so now that the valves and all that stuff is all adjusted and the rest just goes back together, I must just put the rest of it back together and then we'll speed this up a bit. The governor itself, I'm lining up to where it was originally. You can see right where it was sitting. I don't know if the camera can see that or not. I'll move the camera. governor I'm lining up right where the marks were from the original. You can see it's about right there. That's about it right there. That's where I'm setting that up, back to where it was originally factory. Okay, that's all together as far as I'm going to go with it. I'm going to leave the back off. This, all these, the whole back here, I'm going to leave all this off because I want to change the hydraulic oil, and the filter is right there. It just makes it easier to change all this, and I want to tighten up all of these lines in here and everything first. Okay, so right now I'm going to give her a start, and it should start out fine. It's going to take probably a little bit because I don't think there's any fuel in the carburetor. And then once I get it started, I get it turned around so I can start on the next project on the front of it, though, with the Thatcher. Okay, that's going to be the end of my video for today. Took a little bit longer than I expected. I think I got about, geez, I don't know how many hours I got in. I probably got about 3 to, let's see, I don't even know what time it is. Oh, so, 1, 3. So I probably got about 4 hours into putting it all back together. I was still cleaning some stuff up as I was going, and I was just taking my time and make sure I was doing everything right, and trying to didn't want to miss anything, and change the oil and stuff. So it was pretty decent. And then next week, when the hydraulic filter shows up, I'll change the hydraulic oil in it, and actually there won't be much oil to change because it only loses about 1 quart, maybe, I think it is. Yeah, maybe a little bit more, but it wasn't a whole lot last time I changed the filter. So yeah, that project's gonna be, that's just gonna be a quick one. That's only takes about 10 minutes, but I want to go over every one of the lines, make sure all the hose clamps are tight. A couple of hose clamps I have to take tires off and everything, but I gotta just loosen them up and turn them so I can replace it. If one of the lines go bad, at least I can replace it without taking a tire off. So I'm gonna just move things around a little bit, just so I can have easy access to it, and if something happens, because sooner or later one of the lines is going to go. They always do. They just get dry rotted. So, and then I'm not sure when I'm going to get started on the Thatcher. It's all depends on how the weather's going and what else I have to take care of. So that is going to be the end of my video for today. And everybody have a good evening, and we will see you at the next yard.